Tips with Toni. Tips with Toni. All about nutrition from your favorite dietitian. Everything you need to digest in your mind. Tips with Toni. Tips with Toni. Making you healthier one bite at a time. With Toni. Woo.
Hello and welcome to the Tips with Toni podcast. I'm Toni Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time. Are you ready to laugh your butt off? This next interview is actually very educational and very informative. However, my friend Toni Castillo is just hysterical. That's his character, that's his nature. But I absolutely love it. I think you guys are going to love it. Please enjoy. Without further ado, here's the episode with Toni Castillo. We're going to talk all about branched chain amino acids, collagen, fish oil supplements, pre-workouts, Santa Claus, and bird feathers. You'll understand the joke when you listen. Enjoy. I'm pressing record now because this is just too funny. I can't. All right, guys, what's up? I am here with the awesome Toni Castillo. Toni, how are you today?
Woo! Ready to dance, provide value, get it going. Ba, 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 ba.
Well, if you guys are not awake, you will be awake now. And for the next 45 minutes or 30 minutes, however long this podcast episode is, if we can get through without laughing a lot, I think it'll be shorter, but I don't know if that's possible. So anyways, I'm so excited to have you today. Please tell everybody who you are, what you do, and why you do what you do.
Number one, thank you so much for having me. Number two, I'm so excited to be here and talk to you and be on this podcast. I'm stoked, even though you were going to take a picture of me. I'm wearing a shirt from another dietitian that's part of our mentorship, Andres. But I am Toni Castillo, #hydrate or dihydrate. I always do a shameless plug. You never know. So who I am a registered dietitian. I've been a dietitian for, this will be my 4th year, and I focus in sports. So I actually went to the University of Florida and worked there with their sports nutrition team. And then I worked with the Toronto Blue Jays Major League Baseball team for the past 2 years. And now I just did my own private practice. And the reason I do what I do is because as dietitians, we don't get in the spotlight as much as we should be. And I know when I see you on your Food Network show, I'm going to remember this conversation.
Yeah.
Hey, I remember. So when I see you on there, I'm going to remember that the spotlight was not shined on at the right time until now when you get your Food Network show. I remember this. But if I could affect an athlete who already has a platform of 1 million people watching him or her, and they are able to say you know what helped my performance, having more fruits and vegetables or something like nutrition wise that I help them reach, holy smokes, I've now affected millions of people by just affecting one. And to me, that's the biggest thing. I just want people to be healthier. And it's just using other people as my platform by educating them and having them understand, you can change your behaviors and change who you are. It's just you're going to have to want to do it. And sometimes when you hear it from someone at the higher levels or people that have more power or more pull or more followers, whatever that looks like, people will listen, right? Like Dr. Oz, he was the big one for years. And now people are like, why would you listen to Dr. Oz? When Toni Marinucci writes her book and when she's on the Food Network, people are going to be like, oh, Toni Marinucci. And I'll be like, yeah, of course. Duh. She's a
I was on her podcast.
You can see a video of me doing what? Listening to music and dancing around half the podcast and laughing. Hey, I was there.
So funny. That is the best, most unique approach I've ever heard. And I absolutely love that. I don't think people recognize that enough that when you have a certain amount of followers or when you're a professional athlete or famous in any kind of way, you have a responsibility. You are influencing others. Whether you signed up to be an influencer or not, you are an influencer. And I think that's so powerful. And I absolutely love that that's your way of helping 1 million people. That's huge. That is so awesome.
Yeah.
That's
Eventually
so
I'd
awesome.
like to build my own platform, but for now I will use others to do so. And just to give you a quick story, I was working with a baseball player who's famous and I was helping him with weight loss. And of course he went out and he played a game. And before the game, they filmed him going to the concession stand to get French fries and ice cream. And of course, that is all everyone talked about. And
I can't.
And then my boss was like, so are you making him change habits? And I was like, look, one day of French fries and ice cream isn't going to kill him. But of course, that's what they talk about, right? Like, look at his pregame routine. Look at his pregame meal. And
Oh
like,
my gosh.
hey, not what I want you to do, but it's okay.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Damn. Media.
That's why the Toni Marinucci's of the world are going to get up there and share our vision, right?
Oh God. I'm going to try my best. So try
do it.
Oh my gosh. But you definitely are too.
Thank
I
you.
can see that for you. Because you're just so genuinely yourself, which I just love so much. I don't think enough people are like themselves. They're so afraid of like what other people are going to think. And it, unfortunately, by them being insecure of who they are, they're not sharing their gift to the world. But you've decided to take this leap, have your own business. And now more people can see you and learn from you. So that's so cool.
Thank you. And so have you. So you're a BA. I don't want to say bad, but there you go. Bad butt.
You're going to love the intro to my podcast. I don't know if you've heard it yet, but it's like a cute little jingle that I actually have people who listen to the podcast. They send me videos of their kids dancing to it.
No.
Yeah. So I'm happy you didn't curse because I know kids listen.
That's why I said bad butt. That's a good thing, kids. While you're listening.
Oh God, I'm not going to be able to get through this. Oh God. Okay.
What? It's been 30 minutes. Yeah. Sorry. So anyway, tell me more about your life.
Okay. So I have to start so obviously we're going to talk all about like nutrition for performance since that's what you specialize in. So this isn't just for the athlete. This whole conversation is going to be the person who's exercising regularly, whether they're a weekend warrior or just someone trying to get into healthier eating, healthier living. I think it's definitely going to be a valuable episode. But you have this saying, which is hydrate or dihydrate.
Yeah.
Right? So we have to start with that. So explain where that came from. And yeah, as he takes a sip of water, which you guys will see when we post this on YouTube. Where did that come from?
So funny enough, I was in Austin for a friend's wedding and it was brunch. And obviously we were looking a little dehydrated or dehydrated. And the waiter comes up and they're like, hydrate or dihydrate. And I was like, excuse me? And they were like, yeah, hydrate or dihydrate. And someone I was working with was with me at this wedding. And they're like, did you pay this person to say this? And I'm like, no, not at all. And from there, I'm like, I'm just going to utilize this. I think this is absolutely funny and absolutely hilarious. And now it's my mission to make sure everyone does hashtag hydrate or dihydrate. And it's just been blowing up and I absolutely love it because it gets people to just drink more water. Again, I want to use my platform to get people to make healthier habits. And if it's by saying hydrate or dihydrate, more people are drinking water, I left my mark on the world a better place.
Yeah, I love that so much. Are you going to send that waiter a gift or something?
I'm going to send him a water bottle.
Yeah, gotta give him some credit. No, that is awesome. So let's talk hydration because I don't think a lot of people are probably drinking enough water. So how does someone identify if in fact they are drinking enough water?
So I actually sent a video to this group I was in work with swimmers. And the first thing I talked about was hydration. And when I sent it, they were like, maybe we shouldn't start off by talking about pee. So with kids listening, I'm sorry, but I have to talk about your pee or your urine coat. So I tell people you want it to look light like lemonade. Nice and simple. If it looks like apple juice or like black beer or like Guinness, like really dark, you're super dehydrated. If it's clear, you're actually overhydrated. And I actually have had to use this twice with some people I've worked with. So I actually got a picture this morning from one of my clients of their toilet bowl, which I never thought I would say as a dietitian.
Oh, come on. I see poop all the time. Is that weird?
You're right. At least it wasn't poop. That's another term for bad butt, but that's a different story, different conversation. So someone, I was actually working with someone and they're like, Toni, come look in the toilet. And I was like, this is weird, but sure. We go and look and it looked black like Guinness. And I was like,
that's very dangerous.
Yeah. I was like, what are you doing? Gosh. Did you pour something in here? And they were like, no, this is what, and I'm like, what'd you do yesterday? This person was supposed to go perform. And they were like, oh, well, the day before I decided to go drink it with my buddies, play golf, and I drink water. And I was like, Good job, man. You're really set up for success here, huh?
Oh boy.
We had an hour before the game. We just did water, sodium, for like electrolytes to make sure we get them hydrated. It wasn't enough time, obviously. And they got pulled after 10 minutes of their performance because they were doing so poorly.
Wow.
And this is a professional. So think about how much that affects their end of the day. And I told them after that, I was like, so do you think you're going to make it to a higher division or a higher level if you keep doing this? And they're like, no. And I'm like, what were you experiencing? Like headaches, nausea, and those are things. Now, the other end of it, I had another athlete, same thing, but the pee was coming out clear because people are like, oh, it's clear. I'm super hydrated. I'm good. Well, what happens is the way I like to explain it is, for example, when you watch this YouTube video, you will see that I am holding a green like blender bottle. Now, if I put like a pound of salt in this, it'd be super salty water. Now, if I took that same pound of salt and put it in a 5-gallon bucket, the water would not be as salty. So what happens is you're actually overhydrated. You don't have enough sodium, like electrolytes, to help your muscles contract, so help you moving, help your performance. And this person was getting full body cramps from being overhydrated. So we actually had to increase their sodium intake, which people who have high blood pressure, I'd say, be cautious with this, number one. But if you're someone who's like very physically active, make sure that you have the right hydration, which is light like lemonade.
Yeah, that's really helpful. Yeah. Okay. I always tell people the color of the urine is the best way because you hear also, there's like you take your body weight, you divide it in half, but I think that can be a little bit overwhelming for some people. And then it's like, are you doing pounds or kilograms? Like, where do I live? Like, so I think it's just easier to just look at your urine.
Yeah. Just go to the bathroom.
Obviously, though, what happens if someone drinks like coffee or tea? It's going to change the color a little bit. I think there's a big misconception that like coffee and tea are dehydrating. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yes. So it's dehydrating if it's like the first time you've ever had coffee. If you're a habitual coffee or tea drinker, our body actually gets accustomed to that and we don't actually have that dehydration effect like normally. Our body gets used to it. So I always say, obviously drink water is the number one choice. Again, hashtag hydrate or dihydrate. But using tea is another great hydrating source. Coffee, the same thing, because our body just gets used to that caffeine. It doesn't cause that diuretic or going to the bathroom effect.
Totally. Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, so now that we got that out of the way, because that's just something I felt like we had to address. What would you say is like the biggest mistake that people, when they're trying to go like get a good workout in, what's like maybe like one or two mistakes you see people make with their nutrition that they do that might, impact their workout and other than hydration? So, that might affect their performance.
Yeah, I know you go work out. So what do you do before you work out?
Well, so it depends on how I'm feeling.
Every dietitian's answer to any question, it depends.
It depends. Sometimes I just make sure that I hydrate. It depends on the type of workout and the intensity of the workout. Yeah. So like if it's going to be like a light walk or yoga or like just like 30-minute strength training or something, I might not even eat anything because I do tend to work out in the morning. If I know that I'm gonna do a workout, maybe like in a couple hours, depending on once again, if I'm feeling hungry, I might have a small, like a mini meal, or I might just have like a piece of fruit and then I make sure that I eat after. So it depends.
Yeah, I love that answer. And that's what I tell my clients and everyone I work with. It depends. But to give the Toni Marinucci Tips with Toni audience a little secret. Definitely you want to eat some fast acting carbs. So what I consider fast acting carbs, I'm talking about fruit. I'm not saying go out and buy gummy bears, folks. I mean, it can help you, but I always suggest getting fruits first. And that's the biggest mistake I see people. Either they don't eat and they try to go like do a really intense workout. So a lot of the CrossFitters I work with, they're big into intermittent fasting, which I know you had Andres on talking about.
Yeah.
If you haven't heard it, go back and listen to it. Number two, like they just don't eat because they're this big intermittent fasting. And the first thing I try to get them to do is actually have breakfast. And they're like, why? Why do you want me to have something before I go work out? So I'm going to ask you a question because you're in New York. If you decided to come drive down to Clearwater and hang out with Andres and I, what would you check in your car? What would you look at?
My engine. Okay. If I had gas in the tank.
Yes, gas in the tank. That's the one, right? Because if you don't have gas in the tank, you're going to have to get out of your car and push the car to Clearwater. That's going to be a lot longer of a hike than it is if you had gas in your car, right? That's the same thing I tell people. So why are you going into a workout without eating anything? You don't have any gas in your car and you're asking your body to push through and do some strenuous activity without having anything in your body. So like if you're doing a light walk, then you don't need that. But even yoga, you're stretching, you're utilizing your muscles. Even like Orange Theory, CrossFit, strength training, anything like that, you're doing something. And you need to make sure you have gas in your tank before you head out for your trip.
Yeah, totally. And so what is there like a sample maybe meal, or other than like a piece of fruit? Like what could someone maybe have if they're going to have, like, I also have heard like if they're going to, so like say they have breakfast at 8 a.m., then maybe they should wait 2 hours and then do their workout at 10 because they need to digest their whole breakfast. Like what would you say to something like that?
That's a great question. And because when I talk to my clients, the same thing happens. I had one client that's like, some runs I feel super bloated and full. Other runs I feel like golden. I'm like, okay, what are you eating? And we figured out when he has a big, heavy breakfast before he goes for a run, you know, it's not going to help him. But sometimes he does like a slice of toast with peanut butter, a slice of toast with avocado, a slice of toast with hummus, whatever it looks like for you. So either fruit, I always say toast with something, maybe butter. And those are the big ones, because I try to steer away from dairy for pre-workout, because dairy doesn't settle well in the stomach. I actually had a wide receiver that I was working with decide to have a big old shake from Cold Stone, and he went out for his first route, and let's just say,
like, okay, like it's just so crazy to me how athletes really don't, they know very little about nutrition, and they really don't, a lot of them really don't eat well. They really don't. And it's just crazy to think that they've gotten to where they are at that. But it's even crazier to think that if they fueled properly, the next level that they could get to.
Yeah. A lot of the
like
pros,
potential, so much potential. I'm sure you see so much potential and you're just like, what are you doing?
a lot of the pros, like Ray Lewis, he said, nutrition can make a good athlete great or a great athlete good. And it's just insane. He's like, I see all these young kids coming in eating like fast food. I don't know how they think they're going to last as long as me. He's lasted like 14 years in the NFL. And it's just like, well, look at what he ate. Like nutrition was such a big piece. And it's crazy to see, like you said, people, so not even athletes, just people that go and work every day, right? Like they think going in and skipping breakfast and not having any fruits and vegetables, always eating fast food for lunch, then coming home and being too tired. It's like, aren't you seeing a habit here? Aren't you seeing a cycle? Like your work performance is also being affected by what you eat and drink. So how can we help you perform at your highest level? It may not be on a field, but at work, you still have to perform at your best. Yeah. If you're not fueling for your performance, whatever that may be, what are you doing?
Yeah. And I think you'll know, like you said, like when your client, when he went on that run, he felt really sluggish, like your body will tell you. And I think if you just pay attention more to that, it's like, why do we keep repeating the same habits and behaviors and expecting a different outcome? If we know that this doesn't feel good, how can I change that? And I think that's really great. I know that you do a lot of like behavioral based coaching, like small steps at a time. Is that something that you've always done, or like what made you just choose to use that as an outlet? Because so many people do different things, intuitive eating, macro coaching. Like what made you decide to do like habit stacking?
I love that question. I haven't been asked that, so thank you for asking. Yeah. I saw that little dance move too. You're like, ooh, happy dance. So what made me do that is when I worked in professional sports, just like you're a professional, right? You have so many other things to worry about. Why are we adding nutrition as another stressor? If we can make it into a habit, so it's now second nature and you no longer worry about it, then you can focus on what your sport is, what your job is, what you need to perform at. I want you to have these habits built in so that by the time you're at a presentation for work or you have to turn in a big project, you already have your hydration down. You've been eating your 5 fists of fruits and veggies a day. You're eating whole grains. You're having lean proteins. You don't need anything for energy because you feel at your best, right? Like think about how your performance would look like in 6 months if you've been eating well, compared to me telling you to track your macros, me telling you to worry about this, worry about that. It's like, stop worrying. Let's just start with the basics and build on that. And I see it with clients, like after 2 months, they go back to their old habits. I'm like, just take a deep breath. And I want you to look at everything we've done. And they count all the things we've done in the past couple months. And they're like, oh my God, I've changed so much. And I'm like, all right, now we need to get back to that same step and tell me what we can do right here to start getting you back on that ladder.
Yeah, totally. It's so, because it's so easy to go back to your old habits. Like, so it's really important to have that support system to keep them going. But I love that exactly what you said is, especially an athlete or just anybody. Like, I love your nutrition for performance, not just on the field, but at home or at your job, like just being your best. Like, you do have so many responsibilities, so many things to worry about. And I think that's what prevents people from actually making progress in their nutrition, because it can be so overwhelming. And so they feel like it has to be like all in or all out. And then they either do nothing or they go all in, and then they are like, no, this is way too hard. And now I'm like, everything else in my life is slipping, my social life, my connection with others, like all these things. And then they go back to their old ways. Mm-hmm. So I love what you said. It's really like just to make it simple on their life, and then also to help them in the future.
Yeah. 100%.
That's awesome.
It's something I dealt with too. I mean, and I'm sure you know about this, either personally or with your clients. It's just like when I was in college, I was like, oh, I'm going to do all or nothing diets. I would try everything and anything. And it's just like, it didn't work. So how could I tell someone to do this if I know it didn't work? Like, that's why we got our degree, so we could teach people like, this is what we need to do in order to make it successful for you and be something you do like the rest of your life.
Totally. Love it.
So thank you for sharing your message. And I love when you put your client success stories, because it shows the world that you don't have to count macros to succeed, and that you can just change your habits and habit stack, as Toni says, and crush it. So thank you.
Thanks. That's awesome. You reminded me, I have to post, like, I'm not good at sharing my clients' wins. I'm really not. I really have to do that today. I thank you for reminding me. I love them so much, and I just get so wrapped up in the day. And then I was like, oh, I should probably share, like, this is how I help them. But anyways, all right. So I want to ask some questions that I know a lot of people, I get asked a lot, and I feel like you're definitely the best person to address these. So I'm just going to kind of go down the line. BCAAs. BCAA supplements. Do we need them? How do you assess if you need it? Like, let's talk about it.
I was actually doing an IG live the other day, and I want to ask you a question. Do you know where BCAAs come from? Like, how they actually make BCAA powder?
That's a great question. I mean, they would need to be from sort of like an animal protein.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you had to take a guess, where do you think it would be?
Don't
worry.
Probably cow's milk.
Bird feathers.
Shut up.
Bird feathers.
Don't tell me that.
I promise you, that's mostly where most BCAAs come from.
Well, so now I'm going to think of bird feathers every time I drink my BCAA. I'm upset. I'm upset now. Okay. I'm upset. I'll get over it, but I'm upset now. Okay. So tell me how we figured this out.
Talking to supplement companies and actually asking them like where they get their BCAAs from. So one thing I love to talk about with BCAAs, if you are going to purchase one, you want to make sure the ratio is 2 to 1 to 1. Because there's a lot of like 10 to 1 to 1 ratios, 5 to 1 to 1 ratios. That ratio just talks about leucine, isoleucine, and valine, which are the 3 branched chain amino acids, the 3 BCAAs that have been shown when they work together, turn on like a muscle building switch in your body. So I've used BCAAs. I have clients that use BCAAs because they enjoy the flavor, change the flavor of water. Research right now is like saying that it's not effective, but I've had it where I've had athletes who use it and it has helped them. What I like to say, it's a Band-Aid. It shouldn't ever replace a meal. It should just get you to your next meal. It should never be a meal replacement. Like, you shouldn't be like, ooh, I'm hungry for lunch, but I'm just going to have a scoop of BCAAs and have a great day. Like, no, that's not how it works. And so amino acids. In our body, we have an amino acid pool. Have you ever been to a jacuzzi, Toni?
I actually used to have one.
Oh, so if you were in a jacuzzi, you're hanging out with your friends and family, maybe having some cocktails, enjoying your day, then all of a sudden some person that's dressed as Santa Claus decides to come into your jacuzzi. What would be the first thing you would do? Probably leave your jacuzzi, right?
Probably.
That'd be the first
thing. What
thing.
are you doing here?
You're like, where is this going, Toni? This is so weird. I was not expecting this. So the big Santa Claus looking guy going into your jacuzzi, the jacuzzi is your amino acid pool. The big Santa Claus guy is like the leucine or the BCAAs that you're drinking, and it's pushing out your other amino acids so you can use them in your body. So that's all it's doing. Santa Claus is just the BCAAs pushing you out of your jacuzzi so that your body can use the actual amino acids or the leucine, isoleucine, and valine for your body. So that's how I like to think of it. It's just a pool that you have in your body, and the BCAAs just come in and push the other ones out. And I like to use the Santa picture because it's like a big white dude who's just going to come in your jacuzzi, and you're going to be like, why are you in here? I'm going to start leaving.
Yeah.
So that's just the way it is.
Weird. Okay.
Did it make sense though? Did you get
it?
What I was
Did
saying?
make sense. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Now you're going to have that image in your head all.
I am. I'm thinking of bird feathers and Santa Claus.
I like to give people images. I like to use it.
This is good. This is really, really good. So I guess my question is that also so the specific branched chain amino acids that we need that are in the BCAAs have that ratio, which is different than having like a piece of chicken that naturally has amino acids. Is that the difference?
Yes. So
okay.
the chicken's also going to have, so we have 9 essential amino acids and 11 non-essential. So that makes 20 together. And that's what makes a complete protein. So what happens is we take the 3 essential, which means you need to get it from food, and non-essential means our body makes it naturally in that amino acid pool. So the 3 that come from the BCAAs, we talked about the leucine, the isoleucine, the valine, are the ones that you find in the BCAA supplements. It's just not a complete protein. It's just shown when those 3 are together, they're the best.
Right.
To turn on that muscle building switch.
And when you break down muscle through like strength training or exercise, that's when we need to refuel it to put it back in. And so what about for like vegans or vegetarians? If it's coming from a bird feather, number one, I feel like that's the number one thing they're going to be like, I don't want to have it. Or would you say, is it essential for someone who's vegan or vegetarian to have BCAAs?
No, I rather them just get food from like a protein source, tofu, tempeh, like plant-based protein powders that have a mix of pea and rice and pumpkin seed to get those 9 essential amino acids. Because if you just get it from one, like a pea protein, you're missing out on another essential amino acid that your body needs to help repair those muscles.
Which is really helpful. I actually use a pea protein, so that's good to know. But if you mix it with like, I've actually made pumpkin smoothies. They're really delicious.
Ooh.
So if I mix pumpkin with my unsweetened pea protein powder, then would that be enough?
You probably need to get pumpkin seeds because that's where it's going to be.
Okay. So it wouldn't be in the actual.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. You can make a smoothie bowl and throw the pumpkin seeds on top.
That will be a fall.
What was the other ingredient? Wait, you said pea protein, pumpkin seed, and rice. And rice protein.
Mm-hmm. Don't put rice on your smoothie bowl. People are going to look at you like you're crazy.
I have really weird food combinations. I'm not going to lie though. Like, cause rice to me is like oats. Like if I compare it in a sweet way and instead of a savory way, like sometimes I do that with quinoa. I'm really weird. You're
not weird. You're unique. And I love it.
I'm unique. And like, I also just like love nutrition. So like the fact that I know that I could like perfectly manipulate a way to fuel my body, I'm going to do it. Go. Like, I don't care what you taste like. I don't care what you look like.
Has anyone seen Toni? Yeah, she's just eating rice and pumpkin seeds. What is wrong with her?
A scoop of the pea protein.
Is that a bird? Yeah. Can I eat its feathers? No, don't do that.
Oh, God. Okay, next question. Collagen.
Yeah.
Talk about collagen supplements.
So I know a lot of people want collagen for their hair, their nails, their skin. Mm-hmm. So there's a bunch of different collagens. There's like type 1 through 5. And the ones you normally find in supplements is type 2. And they've been shown to help with athletic performance in the sense of joints, ligaments, and tendons. So to have an effective dosage, it needs to be 15 grams before a workout with some sort of vitamin C. So vitamin C helps the absorption. A good way to see if you're lacking vitamin C and what it would look like when you have low collagen is pirates. They used to get scurvy, so they had bleeding gums, and that's normally because they didn't have enough vitamin C. But what happens is the vitamin C didn't help. Since they had low vitamin C, they couldn't get the collagen to help close those gaps in their gums, so that's why they had bleeding teeth. So that's why it's so important to get vitamin C and collagen, because not of bleeding teeth, but of your quote-unquote open joints and tendons and ligaments. So we want to close that up. So it's important you do it an hour before, because that's when it's been shown to be most effective to help our joints, tendons, ligaments. In regards to hair, nail, skin, no research is out on that saying that it does help. So
that's interesting because that's like all over.
Yeah.
So thank you for clarifying that. So when it comes to, so for nutrition, for performance aspects, there are studies to support having, you said 15 grams with vitamin C.
Yep.
And can that be like a piece of fruit? Doesn't mean you have to have a vitamin C supplement, right?
Yes. I tell people have it with orange, or if they're just trying to have like a quick, like orange juice, tart cherry juice, but you don't need a big amount. You need like half a cup to get as much vitamin C to make it effective.
Yeah. I actually have never had a collagen supplement. Is there a flavor to it?
Unflavored.
So you could just mix it with your juice or?
Great question. So collagen, also, you might have heard of gelatin or Jell-O. So Jell-O, you have to have hot water. So a lot of these collagens say they mix very well in cold. I've tried it myself and they don't mix well in the cold. So it comes out lumpy. So that's another issue. I used to actually mix it in my coffee and then have like a couple strawberries with it just to get some vitamin C in. So that's
actually that would be perfect for me. Because I have a cup of coffee every morning. And like I said, I usually have like a piece of, I don't really eat that much. If I eat anything, it's usually like a piece of fruit.
Yep.
And then I would do my workout.
Look at that. We came up
exciting. And I will just say, if you have bleeding gums, you're probably not flossing enough.
Today on Tips with Toni, we bring in the dentist.
I should probably bring in a dentist.
You should. I love that. Yes, you probably need to floss, but I'm not.
It could be a nutrition thing.
Could be.
Well, guilty. I don't floss enough. I will say that. And I notice that when I don't floss enough, my gums bleed.
But you also have enough vitamin C, so we know it's not scurvy.
Right. Exactly. Okay. Anyways.
Pirates, Santa Claus, and bird feathers. That's the name of this episode.
I don't even know if that would attract, or maybe, I don't know. It would definitely be different.
It would be out there.
Yeah. I might put up 2, like just to see which one like hits more. Like,
put a poll on your Instagram. If I did an episode called This or This, which one would you listen to?
Yeah.
Bird, feathers, Santa, and pirates.
I don't think so. Maybe your audience.
Great. Now I have a crazy audience. Hydrate or die.
Oh, God. Anyways. So speaking of like pre-workout, like you said, you could have collagen before a workout. You could have, I think we just said collagen, but what about actually like a pre-workout that has caffeine stimulants or all that other stuff? Like, talk about pre-workouts for a minute.
So I really appreciate you asking that, because one of the first questions you asked, what is like the biggest mistake people make before doing a workout? One thing I said was not eating. Another one could be overeating. And the third one would be taking a pre-workout supplement without actually checking what's in it. So I had a CrossFit client I just worked with. He's like, hey, I saw some of my friends take the supplement, so I decided to take it. He sends me over the picture, and on the back it has something called SARMs, SARM. Those are selective androgen receptor modulators. You don't need to know that. No one's ever going to test you on that. But pretty much that leads to, drum roll, anabolic steroids. So it was messing up with his hormones. And he didn't know that. So I immediately told him to get off of this because it messes with your hormones. And that's not something we ever want to do, especially with a supplement. The only time you should have anything to do with hormones is if you talk with your doctor about it. So always checking your pre-workout, making sure that it has what you need. The less ingredients, the better. So what do I mean by that? So you want caffeine, if you're looking for a caffeine boost. And the other one that I personally like is called beta-alanine. And that's what makes the tingly feeling. So if you don't like the tingly feeling, you can find a pre-workout that does not have that. So definitely just caffeine, and try to stay away from the food colorings, just because you don't really need it. It can affect your liver and the processing of it all. So for pre-workouts, I highly suggest just sticking to food. If you are looking for a pre-workout supplement, I suggest going on either nsfsport.com or informedchoice.com. And both of those, the reason I say that, it's a third-party testing certification. So pretty much if I'm a supplement company, I wanted to make a pre-workout, I have to send it to them, and they can check at least what's in the label is in the bottle, and what's in the bottle is on the label, and it's effective and it has no banned substances. And again, I'm not worried about your audience being on steroids for performance enhancing drugs, but it's more just for personal life longevity and health is my main concern, right? Like no one wants to buy a supplement that's going to mess with our hormones.
Yeah, totally. And also you made a really good point that I think at this point people who listen to my podcast know this, but I always like to reiterate and never know if we have a new listener, but supplements are not regulated. So unless a third party does come in and the company pays them to do so that way the consumer knows that it's safe to consume. But if it doesn't have that stamp, then they could say that all this stuff is in there and they could be lying and it's legal, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. They could put bird feathers in supplements.
Thank you so much. But okay, can we just circle back now because back to BCAAs? They do have you don't
now
even
that we're over the Santa thing. Now you've processed it, you've enjoyed it. All right.
Yeah. With the BCAAs, they usually have food dyes. No.
Yep.
So how do we know?
There's a brand called Extend.
That's what I use. Is that okay?
Yeah, they have some that do not have food dyes. So I think it depends on the one you
but if it's flavored and has color, it probably has a food dye.
It probably has, well, no, sometimes they use like beetroot extract to color it.
That's true.
Double checking to make sure if it's like red 40 or blue, whatever it is, or yellow somewhat number. Those are the food colorings. But mostly the red is the one that has the most linked research to affect the liver.
Okay, well, I don't think it has red. But either way, I might have that. I'm going to triple check. But going back to your point, it helps me drink more water. That's kind of why I started drinking it.
And that's why I'm okay with it, because if it helps you drink more water, hydrate or dihydrate,
Yeah. And I think with everything, it's like we have to kind of pick and choose what we limit and what we allow in our diet. Because if we really listen to everything, we would probably, we'd be in that fear of food place and not really eat anything and then end up overeating, and it's a vicious cycle. So,
which is where we don't want to be at.
Totally do not. Okay. So the last supplement that I have on here that I wanted to ask about is fish oil supplements.
Fish oils.
Yeah, which I actually been wanting to do an episode about like omega-3s and stuff. But if you want to kind of speak to that, is that something that's necessary for an athlete or just anybody in general? Like, because I know we were talking before we started recording, but I know a lot of people who maybe are prescribed like macros and they are told to do a lower fat diet, and therefore it usually is prescribed to take a fish oil supplement because it's hard to get the adequate amount of fats in their diet. So they're told to have that to help with that. But I'm wondering what your thoughts are.
So as you know, I'm all about food first, but this is a time where I actually suggest a fish oil supplementation. I think everyone should be on fish oils. There's a ton of research now, especially with kids and their brains developing, with pregnant moms eating fish. So not taking fish oils, but eating fish, and it helps with the child's brain development as they grow older. And then for athletes, it helps with their joints, tendons, and ligaments and inflammation. For Gen Pop, it helps with inflammation. So I highly suggest it. It should be 2 to 4 grams a day. And the thing you want to look for is that it's from a marine triglyceride. It's on the back, like, where's it from? So things like cod liver oil, and I like salmon is not the best absorbed. So the marine triglyceride is the most important. And also when you look at the back, you should see DHA and EPA. Those should both add up to at least 1,000. If it's anything less than 1,000, you're just throwing your money away. So I definitely suggest fish oils 100%. I take them daily, and it's actually been shown to help with keeping on muscle mass. So someone who's trying to lose weight, it's been shown to have an anabolic or muscle building effect without it having to do anything with hormones. It just helps keep our muscle on. It turns on the light switch I was talking about earlier in our body to keep muscle building.
Yeah. And so kind of going off that, we said food first. So if someone wasn't to take a supplement, how much fish and the types of fish would they have to consume? Because you said cod liver oil and salmon are not as easily absorbed.
When it's in the pill form.
What is in the pill form? What about in a food form?
Then salmon, tuna, mackerel, and herring are all very good sources of it. Salmon and tuna, I believe for like a 4-ounce serving have like 500 milligrams of fish oil. So you need a lot of fish. So this is the one time I do actually suggest getting some fish oils.
Right. But you should still try to eat fish twice a week. A minimum, 2 to 3 times a week.
The one thing I teach my clients when it comes to proteins is the less legs, the better. So cows have 4 legs, chickens have 2, fish have 0. So choose.
God, that's a great, a great thing. I don't want to know what you call it, but I just did that. That's like what a fish does. You guys can't see my hand, but it's flailing.
So yeah, I teach them the less legs, the better when it comes to food. So, it's okay to have steak. I'm not saying that because of iron. It's okay to have chicken. It's just if you're choosing proteins, try to choose the less legs, the better, because as you go down in the legs, the more anti-inflammatory fats they have. As the higher you go in legs, the more inflammatory fats it has.
Wow. I love that.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was really great.
You didn't say that after the Santa, though, so I'm kind of thinking you didn't get my analogy.
No, I got your analogy. But I do love Christmas, so I kind of was hesitant and thinking, I was going to say, like, what? It's like, is it December? Come on in. like, oh, Christmas came early. So I was a little, I was stuck on that one. This has been so valuable and so helpful. And I know so many people are going to appreciate not just your information, but the specifics of what to look for.
Yeah.
I think that's really, really key. One last question, just based off of fish oils, omega-3s, and anti-inflammation. Going back to vegans and vegetarians that are not consuming fish, and maybe they won't have a fish oil supplement. Speak to that a little bit, because I know with this, I'm curious what you have to say about that.
Yeah. So there's a supplement out there called Brain Armor, and it's a vegan source. So they use algae, and it has high DHA and EPA. So it's very concentrated, and that's what I would suggest for my vegan vegetarians if they don't eat fish. But I would
have it absorbed as well, though.
Yeah, it's absorbed as well.
It is, okay.
But it's this is the only brand I know of that does it that way.
Okay.
I'm not promoted by them. They're not paying me anything. It's more of just like I've looked at their research and it's very sound. So that's why I would promote it. Again, I would highly suggest anyone who's vegan, and I understand if it's for personal reasons, but trying to get that fish, that anti-inflammatory, is huge, because
at least take the supplement if you're not going to eat the actual food. Yeah.
Because the thing is, they're like, oh, but I can get it from olive oil, I can get it from chia seeds, I can get it from walnuts.
Yeah.
By the time it converts, it's 5 to 6 steps to go from the omega-3 that's in those plant-based sources to the one that's actually active in the body. So if you start out with 100 and it takes 5 steps, you end up at 1. So it's a very small return on value. So that's why I always say try to supplement with something. And that's why.
Totally. Awesome. Well, this has been so great. Thank you so much for coming on. What else? Is there anything else that you want to add, talk about?
Were you able to laugh?
I laughed so much. I've probably never laughed as much on a podcast.
I'm now going to go through all of your podcasts and listen to them to make sure. I'm going to count how many times you laughed, and then
not a lot. And if it was me at myself, because I probably screwed up in something, and I'm just like, oh well, here we go, keep it recording, because I don't know how to edit this stuff, because I don't know how to podcast.
So I need you to send me the videos of the kids dancing to your theme song. Actually, you need to post that on your Instagram.
I had asked if I could share it, but then I forget what happened to that video. I have to ask him again to send it to me.
Because all you can do is white out the faces or put.
I didn't want to. Yeah, it's I don't want to but I think he would have been okay with it. I have to go back to that. Because I think I had just put on my story, but I should put that everywhere. That's exciting.
Yeah, that's super exciting.
Because I love, you said, you're influencing by you educating the athlete who has all these people. By me educating the parent, I'm teaching the children. And I didn't even, that honestly, until I got that video, I didn't even realize that that's the potential impact that I could be having. So it's huge. It's huge.
Think about this. A kid goes to school, he sings your theme song, and someone's like, what are you singing? And it's just oh, it's about nutrition. And then that helps them. It helps their family. How awesome is that?
Yeah. So cool.
Yeah.
I can't wait for you to hear it.
Yeah. Now I'm going to jam out to it. I might just, when I finish this, just
you have to go on your story and just, yeah, you gotta.
My new hype song.
Make my day. Oh my God.
The only thing I wanted to add is thank you so much, Toni, for having me. I very much appreciate it. And I can't wait to see you on Food Network crushing it.
Oh, God. One day. Can you tell people where they can find you?
They can find me creeping in your comment section.
That's so true. I tag you in all my photos.
Hey, I love it. Keep tagging me. You'll find me creeping in your comment section. You can find me at Coach_Toni Castillo, CASTILLO. Or I'm sure you can just look up the hashtag hydrate or dihydrate and somehow it will lead to me. At least that's the hope. And if not, it will eventually.
Yeah, no, it will. Definitely will. Thank you so much. We're going to see each other soon, right?
Yeah.
I'm excited. But yeah, so thanks. I hope you have a good day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Wow. As hysterical as that was, it was super valuable, super informative. I know I was taking notes as he was speaking. So awesome, so helpful. If you enjoyed the episode, please screenshot this, share it on your story, tag us, obviously hashtag hydrate or dihydrate, and let us know that you enjoyed it. If you've not already subscribed to the Tips with Toni podcast, please subscribe to my podcast. It allows other people to find it, rate it, write a review, help spread this amazing message of helping people form healthy habits, aka helping you get healthy one bite at a time. Thanks guys for listening. Talk soon.